Life's the battlefield and we ain't feeling weak. From love to the game and the power we seek. Our voice is strong, breaking every peak. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day. Guys Night Podcast, let's ride the wave. Politics and prayers, ain't no subject we shun. Keep it real, keep it raw till the battle's won. Fitness, tricks to faith, every topic under the sun. With honor and valor, every man's battle begun. Warriors with word swords through the air. Every point sharp and every talk fair. Knights at the round table, come and pull up a chair. Join the brotherhood, words laid bare. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Guys Night Podcast. Appreciate you guys taking part of the show again. As always, we appreciate your support. So if you could, hit the like, subscribe button. Leave a comment below as we're talking about this if there's anything that you want us to ask about in the future or make part of it. But tonight we've got an awesome special guest for you. Obviously, the Guys Night Podcast started originally for a group of guys just getting together and having a good time sitting around a table talking. And while looking for guests, I came across an organization that does it once a month. It's called Pathway for Pops. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Pathways for Pops.
All right. And to my right here, it's Matt Chernitsky, correct?
Correct.
And are you the chairman kind of the organization? How's that work?
No, I'm considered the coordinator.
Okay.
Yes, and so basically just plan our events, that type of thing.
Okay.
But basically what we are a group of guys that all have children with some type of developmental disability that get together at least once a month and you try to support one another.
That's awesome. And then Brandon, are you part of the organization? Just part of just one of the dads that shows up on a constant basis? How what part of this do you kind of hold?
I just help Matt with whatever he needs, like just back, like if he needs something extra or anything else, just like behind the scenes type of thing. I just help him. We started with the Down Syndrome Association, and then we went into the Pathways for Pops and stuff. So,
well, let's kind of just dig into that. So, who originally started the organization, and how long ago did it start for you guys? Is it Ohio based at all? That's kind of where I think we'd start with.
Yeah, Pathways for Pops is Ohio based, and the way that it started is there is an organization called the Down Syndrome Association of Northeast Ohio, and one of the programs that they have offered for quite a while was a dad's night out, which was basically dads that had children with Down syndrome. They would get together once a month, first Wednesday of the month, typically meet like a restaurant type place and just have a few drinks, have dinner, that kind of thing, kind of offer support to one another. So I had gotten involved with this group about 6 years ago. I had actually become a stay-at-home parent, and just out of pure boredom, because being a stay-at-home parent can be very bored and isolating at times. Sure. I stumbled upon this group, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna meet these guys out, see what it's about, and that's what I did. And so I kind of followed around with that group for four years or so, and eventually got to the point where I was became the coordinator to that group. And in December of 2023. I was approached by Leslie Burke from the Down Syndrome Association, and she said, "Hey Matt, there is a grant through the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities that's being offered to a group in Ohio that has to do with dads that have children with disabilities." And she asked if I would be interested in applying for this grant for our dad's group, which absolutely I would. It's a $40,000 grant.
Wow.
So how can we pass that up?
Sure.
So we applied for that grant, and by some stroke of miracle, we got the grant.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was competing with a bunch of other dads groups throughout Ohio.
Hmm.
One of there are a couple stipulations with that grant money is one, they wanted us to offer it to dads that have children with any type of disabilities, which definitely is not a problem. And the second one is we had to make it available to dads throughout the state of Ohio.
Okay.
So what we decided to do is create a group called Pathways for Pops, and that's how it came about.
Okay. And I mean, I gotta imagine that you said it's been running for now over 6 years that you've been a part of it. It's been running
Correct.
for a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
I've been involved with it for the last 6 years.
I'd imagine, and you guys do kind of events with these guys once a month, once
Yeah.
a quarter. How do you guys kind of break that out?
Yeah, so what we're doing now is we're having we used to have a separate Pathways for Pops night, which was offered to dads that have a child with any type of disability. That was the third Wednesday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also had what was called a Dad's Night Out, and that stood for Dads Appreciating Down Syndrome. That was for dads that just had children with Down syndrome. That was the original group. That was the first Wednesday of every month. So we kind of ran those separately for, I would say, about 8 months or so. And then we got to a point where we combined them. So we get together once a month now, at least once a month. But every month we have a Dad's Night Out / Pathways for Pops Night Out. It's various locations, typically throughout Northeast Ohio. We're west side of Cleveland, east side of Cleveland. We hit Akron. That's our upcoming Dad's Night Out. We have quite a few guys in Canton. We've been down to Ashland. And then we also do have some events that we do with the dads and our kids.
Okay.
We'll have separate events. Like, for instance, a few weeks ago, we went to Columbus Crew game together as a group.
That's probably awesome.
Yeah, it was nice because there was one of the toughest parts about being the coordinator to this group is because it is state money through the DODD, which is the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. They really wanted us to push it throughout the state, which going in, I knew that was going to be the most difficult part.
Sure, just because of your location, where you live, which has probably been where the focus of the membership has been. But then wanting to include everybody else. Okay, well, where do we go? What do we do?
Exactly. Yes. So one of the things that I've been doing since we had started this is I've been trying to get more involved with groups in different areas. Well, there's a dads group in Columbus that have dads dads that have children with Down syndrome. So I've been going out to their monthly Dad's Night Out. So when we decided to have this Columbus Crew game, we had a lot of participation and support from those guys. So it was good to see that even though we're doing most of our stuff in Northeast Ohio, that we've got our name out there enough that we're able to get some other dads involved from different areas.
Yeah, and I guess I'm a father, but not of a child who's got a disability. But I mean, being a father in general is tough, right? Especially in today's world, especially a new father. If it's your first kid or something of that nature, I'd imagine, like, obviously dealing with a disability, it's a whole new level of I don't know what to do, and I'm going to have to do this for a really long time, depending on the disability. So I'd imagine it's great for you guys to have this segment where you guys can go out, get together, especially a new dad could come up and realize that there's somebody that he could lean on to ask questions, to get help with certain things. That's got to be a big lift. Is that kind of how you got involved in it, Brandon?
Yeah, so we found out my daughter was going to have Down syndrome before she was born. We've got the prenatal diagnosis. And so I was searching on Facebook, and I came across the Down Syndrome Association. And the new parent coordinator at the time, he reached out. He's like, hey, we got this dad's group, come out with us. I'm like, it's... So I'm like, all right. So my father-in-law went with me, and we went out, and we met at the Wild Eagle, and a bunch of the dads came up, and they're like, yeah, like, this is my kid, and this is my kid, and, if you need anything, everybody's just like, if you need anything, let me know. And that, before she was even born, I'm like, taking up all this information, and I'm like, man, this is good. Like, I got all these guys backing me up, and I've gone to not every dad's night, but most of the dad's nights ever since. and the constant like just back and forth, and you learn so much. There's guys that are they've got kids that are what 30s and 40s,
40s, yeah.
and my daughter's 3. Was the youngest, and now we've got a couple that are 2 and under. And so like the younger kids, they kind of like the dads can come up, hey, I'm struggling with eating. I'm like, hey, that's all we we've been there. I know that. And then Matt's his kid's 8, and he's like, man, just step back a minute, like it's fine. And it's nice to have Matt to be able to like, hey, McKenna's doing this, and he's like, yeah, that's what Archie did. Like, it's fine. So I can call up Matt whenever. There's other dads. It's just constant.
And I imagine too, like, when you think about like in any struggle in life, anything that you're trying to deal with, like whenever you're reaching out to strangers, it's not easy. Or when you're having to call into like a specialist and ask them questions, imagine it's a little bit different when you're just a bunch of guys, you're sitting around having a beer after work together while you're playing top golf or something. That conversation, I imagine, is probably a little bit easier to have, and allows you guys to kind of open up a little bit more, because it's just when you get a bunch of guys together, like it's not all bad, right? There's going to be jokes. There's going to be laughs. You're able to laugh at joking at certain things that happen probably with your children.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas when moms are around, it might be like, hey, that's not funny, but you're like, no, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's just a great environment to get around and like you said, pick things up, learn, have somebody ask questions, but also share stories and then just kind of enjoy that time together too.
Yeah, and you know what? I hate to use the term support group, because
Yeah.
you think support group, you think a bunch of people just sitting around thinking how awful they have it and that kind of thing. I mean, it's about having fun. I mean, the first thing is about showing support for each other, because we need support. When you have a child with a disability, it's scary. It's legit. I mean, it's legitimately frightening. When my son wasn't diagnosed with Down syndrome until he was like 5 or 6 months old, which is just, pretty much unheard of.
Right.
Typically, it's prenatal, or as soon as they're born, you get the looks from the doctors and nurses that are in the delivery room, and they kind of know. And it's yeah. So it was, to me, it was a big shock, and I didn't want to hear anything from anybody.
Right.
So it was a lonely place. But when we're getting together, and also when we do see these young guys where they have young kids, whether it be with Down syndrome or autism or any type of developmental disability, I see these guys and I think, you know what, I know exactly what they're going through right now, or I've been through a similar type thing. And I remember when my son was diagnosed with Down syndrome, I was at the geneticist's office, and long story how we got to that point, but the moment that I walked into the office, she looked at me and she said, well, we're gonna do the genetic testing. I know exactly what the results are gonna be, but I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have the most wonderful kid you can imagine. And I'm like looking at this woman like, how could you even tell me that? How, you know what I mean?
Right.
So looking back to that conversation I had with her when he's 5 months old, I totally get it. I totally get why she said that.
Right.
And I share that story with some of these younger guys that, hey, look, when that woman said that to me, I thought, you know what? She's full of shit. She's just trying to make me feel better.
Right. Like she's just trying to take the pressure off. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Get out of my office and go home and deal with this shit.
Yeah. So I look back at that and think, 8.5 years later, and that just rings so true. But getting back to what I was saying before, even though we are a support group, it's when we're going out, some nights we're talking about sports. Right. Some nights we're just busting chops.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You just never know what the conversation
exactly.
But there's always a place for somebody to step up and be like, "Hey, I got a question," or while you're just having a conversation with one of the other guys.
There's no question about it.
And I, like I said, I can't, pretend to know what you guys have gone through as far as being parents of disabled children, but I'd imagine it's like a little bit of a break too, because that's like another full-time job. I would imagine taking care of these young kids while they're going through these struggles, because everything, like you said, eating was trying to get them to eat was harder.
yeah.
Trying to do those. So it's like, all right, there's some time away where we could just be with the guys, and it's not about, you know, doing this or doing that. That's part of this too, right?
Oh, 100%. So some of the guys that join us, which from the time that we actually started this Pathways for Pops group, we have, I think, 150 guys that have participated in something that we've done over the last year. Some of these guys, they have children that require 24-hour care. I mean, we're lucky with my son Archie, and I know with McKenna, they don't have some of these health problems. Some of these guys, they literally have to have somebody with their child at all times. So yes, it's a huge break.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit. You know, obviously your son's now 8.
9. Archie's 9.
Nine, and then your daughter McKenna's 3.
3 just turned 3.
Just turned 3. You know, what was that initial, like you talked about, you know, when you first found out, and obviously there's probably a lot going through your mind, and you found out prenatal, so you kind of got to prepare a little bit for it. But what if, you know, to a new dad out there, a dad to be that's, you know, knows this is coming or is in the beginning stage of this, what are some of the things that, you know, you really have to focus on in those first couple of years? Like what was the hardest part for you? Like when you hear other people raising your other child or that thing, what were some of the things that where it was good to have somebody to ask about?
With me, it was my first child. So when he was first diagnosed, which it was a huge shock. We actually had him in to see a cardiologist because there was a heart murmur that was detected. And as we get into the cardiologist's office, which to kind of back up a little bit with Down syndrome, for instance, there's a lot of heart issues. There's a lot of issues with low muscle tone. There are various medical complications at times. The only issues that Archie had when he was born, and once again we didn't know that he had Down syndrome. He had hypotonia, which is low muscle tone.
Okay.
So
they track that when they're a child. They can already kind of see that when they're really young.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He was described as wimpy
Okay.
on the report when he was born.
Gotcha.
Which
Jesus, they put wimpy on the report.
yeah. Well, damn. Well, yeah, I was a little bit shocked about it, but I mean, looking back, hypotonia, that is a huge red flag as far as Down syndrome. So the pediatrician thinks she hears a heart murmur. We take him to a cardiologist. As soon as the cardiologist comes in, takes his shoes off, takes his shirt off. He's looking at his toes. He's looking at his hands. He's checking behind his neck. He's looking at his ears, like things that I
wouldn't expect.
I wouldn't expect either. So they end up doing the echocardiogram and determine that he has a very, very small hole in his heart. Most likely will close on its own. If it doesn't, it probably is not something that will need to be addressed until he's late in life.
And that's something that's fair. Like, I wouldn't say fairly common, but that's common among all kids. That's
pretty much.
That's not like
it's-
an MS thing, right?
It's common. It's most people
Most
have it.
of
And they
them
don't even typical kids. You're not gonna know because you don't have the tests done. Like pretty much, if you have a kid with Down syndrome, we took McKenna to have the echo and stuff. But they say most people have it, but it's just so small and it closes up that there's never never anything with it.
Yeah.
So was that the case with Archie? Did that end up closing up on its own then, or?
Well, we don't know because we never really had to address it since.
Gotcha.
But when the cardiologist came back to basically sit down and say, okay, you know, we checked his heart. He, you know, it looks like it's not something to worry about. It's called a PFO. You really shouldn't be concerned about it. And then he asked us, he said, have you had genetic testing done on your son? And I said, well, no, we haven't. He says, well, I'm looking at your son and I'm fairly certain he has Down syndrome. Okay, have a great day, guys. Out the door.
Wow.
And I am looking at my wife like,
What just happened?
What did he just say? Did he say thinks he has Down syndrome? And I mean, I was like freaked out. Like, I went home and the first thing I did is like Google the cardiologist to see if this guy's like a nut or something. You know? But anyhow, going forward, and it's mostly because of his low muscle tone. There's a whole lot of different therapies that we had to do and still have to do with Archie, including speech therapy, physical therapy. Um, but it's since it was my first kid, and I didn't have Archie till I was 41 years old.
Okay.
So with him, I, I mean, we worked on so many different things as far as like physical therapy. Um, I thought that was normal.
Right, yeah,
And it
'cause
wasn't until
first kid, yeah.
it wasn't until I had my daughter that I think it was the first time she stood up. We woke up and she's standing up in her crib, and I looked at my wife. I said, "Have you been working with her to stand up?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, I haven't either." Apparently, that's how kids stand up.
Right.
I didn't know that. I thought you had to practice for 3 months on how to grab
go
on
through that
something and
process,
stand.
yeah.
So it is a little bit different, and of course it's case to case. If you have a child with autism, you're not necessarily going to have to do physical therapy. But in our case, that is that's one of the things that's been difficult. Archie, he didn't start walking until he was like 2.5 years old. Speech, we struggle with speech. He has a great vocabulary. He's a smart kid. His speech is not. I understand for the most part what he's saying. You would probably have a hard time,
Right.
but he has an awesome vocabulary.
That's cool.
But there's additional work you have to put in.
Sure.
And luckily for our kid, he's got a lot of determination. So
Yeah, that's
he's
awesome.
willing to put in the work as well.
What about for you, Brandon? Was this your first child?
Yeah, it's my first child. My wife and I we were 35. So when you're 35, especially for a woman, they're all you're old. So that's how we had to have all the blood work and everything. And we get in an email that, hey, by the way, your kid's got Down syndrome in an email.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we were both pretty taken back, and but it was nice to know beforehand. It really was. It gave us both time to sit back and figure out, like, well, what we thought we were going to have is totally different. So we prepared, and we got, we looked at the Down Syndrome Association, and I got, jumped right in with that and met all these guys. And I'm like, so when we had her, I kind of somewhat knew what to expect, which was nice because, a lot of people find out by the doctor after they're born, like, here you go, see you, bye. So
yeah, I was gonna say, and it's not like the doctor's gonna sit there and tell you what you have to do differently, and how to prep, right? Like, you're seeing specialists, and if you're doing that from behind the 8 ball, in a sense, I'd imagine that's a little bit more difficult than.
Yeah, and we knew, like, we were probably going to be in the NICU. We were only in the NICU for 15 days, but we knew that was probably going to be where we were headed. So we were prepared, and we just were able to set up life ahead of time. And that's when my wife and I decided that I was going to stay home. We're like,
so you guys are both stay-at-home dads.
Yeah, both stay-at-home dads.
Congratulations to you both.
Yeah.
So it's not all bonbons and day drinking, by the way.
Yeah.
That was the misconception that I had when I
right,
became a
like,
stay-at-home
sweet.
parent.
Just keep the fridge stocked with Coors Light and a nice bourbon on the shelf.
Yeah,
and
couldn't be any farther from the truth.
Yeah, I'll handle all this. Well, let's talk about that aspect of it. You guys you're both able to stay home, but that had to be. How was that with your marriage? Going through that initial, because there has to be, I'd imagine, having a kid is life-changing enough as it is, right? So all things change. Suddenly you can't just drop things at the whim and go out to dinner or do whatever. So how much stress did that put onto those marriages initially?
It was tough. Luckily, my wife and I, we're not big go-outers. We're like the homebodies. So for us, like, that wasn't a big transition. We'd rather be at home, so that wasn't bad. But the divorce rate when you have kids is up to like 80-90%.
God, is it really?
When you have special needs kids, the divorce rate, like, significantly goes. I think it's like 86%.
Holy smokes!
So my wife and I, like, we definitely have to think. We talk things out. Like, hey, you're getting kind of like, things need getting grouchy. I'm like, okay, like step back. And a lot of times it's just go. It's because we're on the go all the time. We're going to therapy, we're going to school, it's going here and going there. And it does get to be you're living over here and I'm living over here. So you just gotta, communication's key. If you're not communicating, with any marriage, it's that way. But
Right, you just have
really
this extra step, and plus you're probably exhausted. Like, yes, she gets home from work at the end of the day, but you've been at home with McKenna
yeah.
all day, and like
Yeah.
you guys both are probably worn out, and like
Yeah.
that's those are I could see how that could easily be a scenario where eventually it creates that stress. But congratulations, you guys have made it through this initial 3 years with it.
Oh, yeah.
and you guys are probably a great inspiration for other parents going through that. And like you said, divorce rate's already high, but
Yeah.
I'd imagine in some cases, and maybe you guys know it because of some of the guys that join, but there's always probably one parent, or at least occasionally a parent, that doesn't want to be part of it, isn't willing to put in that extra work that's needed. I'm sure you guys see that occasionally or hear about it
Oh
throughout
yeah.
the program.
We hear a lot about it and stuff like that. And it's tough, but there's the dad's nights, and there's even mom's nights. They have mom's nights. There's women that go out too, and um, it definitely helps just having guys to talk to. Yeah, you can talk to your wife, but like you can talk to a guy is a little bit different. Like it's just
There's no filter.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no filter when guys get together. Usually somebody's not getting their feelings hurt for the smallest comment or joke or
Yeah.
whatever. We love our women, but sometimes they take things a little too seriously. So then, what about for you, Matt? Did that put initial stress in your guys' marriage as well? Is it something that you noticed right off the bat, and like something you guys kind of try to focus and pay attention to?
Well, I became a stay-at-home parent at an unusual time. It was shortly before COVID hit. So with our son Archie, his immune system is kind of out of whack. So we had to take COVID extremely serious. Once I became a stay-at-home dad, and I think it was 3 months later, COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
So we were basically stuck in our house
Yeah.
constantly for at least a year. In fact, to give you an example, I remember right before COVID, I filled my car up, and that was end of February.
Yeah, something like that.
The next time I put gas in that car was just before Christmas.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so when I was grocery shopping, I was waiting out in the parking lot at 6 a.m. at the grocery store for them to open up. I'd be the only person in the grocery store, and I did that for nearly a year. So yeah, that was difficult because I'm a social person. So I felt like the walls were closing in at
Yeah,
times.
of course. Yeah, it's one more added piece to the equation that just
Yeah.
tests your ability to function on a day-to-day basis.
Right,
I imagine.
exactly.
Like, yeah, COVID was something else, and obviously that was something where after the first couple months, most people were kind of on their way out from it, but then you couldn't
were not,
and
yeah.
risk that with any kind of immune issues. So
Yeah, and it with COVID, if it weren't for my son, I myself would have been much more relaxed with it, but because of his immune system, I had to take it seriously up until things really started to slow down, and there were a lot less serious cases of COVID.
sure,
That's when we were finally able to start getting out.
seems like it was so long ago.
Oh, yeah, I know. Oh, what a
Um,
crazy ass time.
Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day. Like, man, it seems like it was so long ago. Can you believe we were all locked in our houses for basically a year, some even
Yeah.
longer?
Yep.
But I guess we've been talking about Down syndrome, and obviously you guys are open to anybody with any kind of disability. But for somebody who's not really sure, what exactly, like, what is the medical definition, or what is Down syndrome? Like, what is it that's missing, or what is it that's there that causes that disability? Is there? I'm sure you guys all talk about it all the time.
It's an extra chromosome. It's they just say it's an extra chromosome, and it attaches to your other chromosomes. It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
very medical and all this. But it comes with a lot of different health issues. It's like her there's a lot of different facial features, and usually you see a kid with Down syndrome, like that kid's got Down syndrome. Like
Yeah.
it's
I think Shane Gillis makes jokes about that all the time, how I just missed him or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Because you have that certain kind of appearance.
facial features, and there's
Mhm.
different things, and yeah, it's weird, the different things that one extra chromosome that takes over, like there's an enlarged tongue, and you're just
It's crazy how
medical
many
issues.
of the side or some of the side effects you call them or whatever the results are so similar in everybody.
Yeah.
Like right, like for the most part, like you
Yeah.
mentioned the enlarged tongue, which made speech difficult. You mentioned the facial features, which very similar amongst them all.
Yeah.
What are some of the other things that go along with that? Like, what are health issues that go along with that?
Definitely the heart. There's been a lot of, as far as the Down syndrome goes, there's been a lot of the families and dads that we know who their first thing their kids do when they're born is they have surgery on their heart.
Wow.
Definitely the hypotonia, the low muscle tone.
With the heart, if you don't mind me interrupting you, what is it that happens with the heart that needs to be operated on right away? You mentioned the hole in the, was it you that had the hole in the heart?
Yeah, I think it's typically that PFO.
Okay.
And I mean, there are cases where these children are having open heart surgeries. I know some
Jeez.
of the dads that
Like-
join us at times.
Like a couple months old, 4
Yeah,
or 5
yeah,
months
and-
old,
yeah,
they're having
with
open heart surgery.
My
yeah,
God.
with Archie, he basically had a hernia in his abdomen until he was, I want to say he was 3-4 years old when it finally
Wow.
closed, and it's just because those muscles were not developed.
Oh, so like his stomach muscles, because you said he was kind of underdeveloped in the muscle area, like they just couldn't hold it kind of in almost, or
Yeah, just because the muscles were not developed enough to basically keep everything together.
Wow.
So and once again, I mean I can't tell you how fortunate I feel because Archie was mostly free from any type of health issues when he was born, which is another reason why we didn't find out until he was 5-6 months old that he had Down syndrome. So we've been very fortunate, knock on wood.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to not have to deal with the health issues that a lot of families have had to deal with.
So as fathers moving forward, what are some things that you guys have to prepare for? Because they're obviously still going to school, right? Brain functionality is very similar to an average kid that same age. Is that correct, or is there?
They're behind.
They are behind.
Yeah, it's typically a little bit behind. So my daughter turned 3, and we were at the doctor's a little while ago, and they said she's probably like equivalent to like an 18-month-old
Oh,
as
wow.
far as her abilities to do things. And we saw it, like she wouldn't interact with anybody for a long time, like the back and forth, and now we're starting to see, like, just in the last couple months, like she's just taken off on everything. So yeah, it's everything's delayed. Like walking was 23 months for us. Crawling, she was over a year old for crawling, and it's constant therapies all the times. But
I mean, you gotta do it though, right?
oh yeah,
That's the idea. Is like, just,
Yeah, you gotta put in the
want to
work.
set them up for as much success as you possibly can. I know that like when I was in high school, I want to say one of my buddy's sister had Down syndrome, but she was in school every day. I mean, everybody kind of knew, and there was some times where it was obvious that she wasn't quite able to keep up with everybody else, but she was still going to school on a day-to-day basis. She worked at a grocery store, part-time. So you still want them to be able to have that life.
yeah.
Now with Down syndrome, does that mean that essentially they're going to have to be under care for the rest of their life? Or
That's case by case.
It
Really,
is?
there's now there's so much more for the kids now. Like, well, there's day programs and different things like that. But like, it's really case by case on how much freedom. There's some that they're living on their own. There's a couple in the association. They both have Down syndrome. They're married. They live independently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Both have their driver's license.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, both. Well, actually, the wife has 2 businesses that she operates.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So
So
there's still a potential for them to live a very strong, happy life in the
Oh,
sense
yeah.
of, like, In fact, they're probably in a better mood than most of us on a lot of
Oh, yeah.
days, right? Like,
Yeah.
is that a common theme that most of these kids are just generally happy for the most part? You mentioned it was going to be one of the greatest gifts, is what that doctor told you.
Yeah, it's a misconception that people with Down syndrome are happy all the time. And I think what we were talking before the show, how my son was having a bit of a meltdown before I came over here. But generally, studies have shown that people with Down syndrome are, I want to think what the number, like 93% of them are happy with themselves,
That's
which is
awesome.
way more than
Regular
somebody
people.
without Downs.
Yeah,
if you want to
just
call us regular people.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
just yeah, I don't mean to be insulting, but just regular everyday people, like regardless
Yeah.
of what they're coming across in their life, are not 93% of them.
Well,
Are not
right,
happy,
exactly.
You know,
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like long term, like with my son, for instance, right now I'm 50 years old, so I'm to that point. I gotta, retirement's gonna be here before I know it,
right?
and we are now at this point planning for retirement for 3, because we have to assume that we're gonna need to care for Archie, through adulthood.
Sure.
Yeah. So and it's just an additional thing that you have to think of that you typically don't with typical children. I mean, they turn 18, they go to college if they decide to, or they get a job, and then
Right.
they're kind of
See you later.
on their own.
I'll see you in the holidays.
You're exactly, yeah, pretty much. Or they'll call you when they need money.
Yeah, right. So let's talk about the program a little bit. We talked about, the dad's nights out where you guys are getting together and everybody's getting a chance to talk, meet each other and stuff like that. How do you guys reach out to people to become part of this? Like, are you in touch with like local hospitals and their delivery wards or anything where like, hey, if you come across a father that's, he's going to be, his son's going to have, or daughter's going to have Down syndrome, have them reach out to us. You can start reaching out to us immediately. Do you guys have conversations like that, or?
We typically what I do is I've reached out to a lot of different societies that have to deal with special needs. Also the county boards. I do a lot through Facebook, just trying to get our name out there as much as I can.
Yeah, of course.
To these different groups that have to do with special needs. And that has been successful up to this point, just to get word out. We have a lot of word of mouth. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to and said, "Oh, I know so and so that has a child with autism or cerebral palsy or you name it." And that, I mean, we've gotten a lot of participation that way as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd imagine too, like, if that's ever something that you do, like some of these, what's the word for the doctor that helps deliver the baby?
The pediatric. Well,
no, the other one, the lady doctor.
Gynecologist.
Oh, the midwife.
Yeah. Well, gynecologist,
Yeah.
midwives, like,
yeah.
because now they're testing for this ahead of time, right? You mentioned you found out 3 months in
Typically,
advance.
when the woman's 35, if a woman's 35, they do all the blood work because they say that you're at a higher risk for Down syndrome the older you get, which is
that accurate, or
It
It
depends how you
is.
look at the statistics, because when you hit 35, there's less women having babies. So
right? So they're skewed.
well, yeah, you're more likely because you're in a smaller pool of
gotcha.
women having kids with Down syndrome. Like, age doesn't really define it, because there's people anywhere from 18 and older. It doesn't matter. Like, your chance of having Down syndrome is the same. It's 1 out of every 500 babies, I think now is what they say. 1 out of every 500 kids has Down syndrome.
Wow.
But those numbers typically go when you have parents that are in their 40s and they have a child when they're late 30s, early 40s. That the percentage does go. The risk goes up for that.
Gotcha.
And they do all the blood work and everything like that. So that's how we found out, was all the.
Yeah, 25-year-old woman has a risk of 1 in 1,250. A 40-year-old woman has a risk in about 1 in 100. Wow,
Yeah.
Those are some pretty significant increases in risk.
Yeah.
For sure. But obviously, that doesn't mean that you have to stop trying. And 1 in 100 it's better than 99 out of 100.
Yeah.
This is one way to look at it.
Yeah.
So that was part of the testing ahead of time. So a lot of parents is that something that's a normal test, or is it just because they're over that certain age group?
As soon as they hit that age, like, well, insurance, once you hit 35, insurance will pay for the test. You can request it at any age, like
Gotcha.
no matter what. It's just blood work. You just takes the blood from the mother and they send it out. You can have it at any age, but insurance will actually pay for it once you're at 35.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we actually, I believe that was an option for us with the test, and we didn't test because we knew it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah. Our doctor just he was like, you should do this like that way, and ahead of time,
Gotcha.
because they check for all kinds of different. There's like trisomy 18, which if you have the 18, it's almost fatal, they say.
Oh God.
So like
really?
they check for that and all kinds of stuff like that. So
Yeah, basically what that is, the trisomy, Down syndrome is trisomy 21.
Okay.
So it's an extra of the 21st chromosome. So, and trisomy 18 is the same, except with the 18th chromosome.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
it's just that extra which chromosome gets duplicated, basically, or extra.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
And you said that 18 is like typical. And then
21 is Down
typical,
syndrome.
and then 18
Yeah.
is more fatal.
Well,
result.
yeah, trisomy 18 is. I'm sure there's a different.
Medical terminology.
Yeah.
for it,
Correct.
right?
Correct. Yeah, it wouldn't be considered Down syndrome though.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like those numbers have climbed, and I think part of it's because people are older now having children than they used to be.
I would
but
agree.
Are there other aspects of it that, like, as you guys are going through this process? Because I imagine that there's research involved with this too, because a lot of parents are probably always looking at ideas to get better or what they could have done differently. You guys had a second kid, right?
Correct.
So you risked it again, in that sense of that it could happen with your second child as well.
Yeah.
Was there certain things that, after doing readings, like, hey, like we need to not eat this, or we need to stay away from this, or are there, I guess,
it's
studies and stuff around that?
There really isn't. There's not. There's really not much that you can do to avoid having the extra chromosome.
Gotcha.
Not, at least not to my knowledge.
as far as I know, they don't truly understand why it happens.
Really?
Like what cause? There's really not like a true cause, from my understanding. It's like it's just totally random. They don't understand why or what. But
Wow. Well, congratulations to both of you guys for coming on, sharing this stuff. I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there that want to hear what to do in this scenario, and it's great that you guys have this program. So you mentioned you have funding from the state, correct? Is it a state, what's it called, that you guys got a grant?
Yeah. Originally, it was a state grant that we were working on, which that grant actually ended yesterday.
Okay, so is
Yeah,
that like
so
is that like a yearly grant? Is it like here's a grant for your program and that's it? Like what?
Yeah, so it was an 18-month grant that we were awarded.
Okay.
So now at this point, what we're doing is we're kind of putting together like a summary of how the program, how we did with the program, what successes we have had with the program. But going forward, this group is going to continue. It's going to be funded by the Down Syndrome Association of Northeast Ohio.
Okay.
But that being said, this group is still for dads that have children with any type of disabilities.
Right. You guys are just looking for other avenues to kind of fund some of the things that you guys are doing.
Yes. Since that's where we started with our dad's group, and that's kind of how this Pathways for Pops came about from our dad's group. We kind of collectively decided, when I say we, I mean DeSanio, which is the Down Syndrome Association, that this is something that's worth continuing, and it's worth continuing to fund it. So we're going to keep it going.
So obviously the first thing when people hear, funding towards it and guys getting together, obviously that's important. Is there other things that you guys are able to do with those funds? Like, certain needs that maybe one of the members needs help with? Does it go towards stuff like that? Or is it really just to create that camaraderie around your group and you guys do other stuff to help with that, like fundraisers and things like that? Or how does that work?
Yeah, we haven't really done much. We haven't done anything in the way of fundraisers, but with that grant money, um, we weren't able to like help specific families as far as with different kind of financial support.
Right. You go
Um,
pretty quick, I would imagine.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question about that. But we were one of the things that we thought was very important because the group is designed to empower fathers that
Sure.
have children with special needs, and also get them more involved in their kids' lives. We did have quite a few different activities that we planned for us as fathers with our children.
Yeah.
We had taken a trip to the Football Hall of Fame. We had gone to Ramsire Farm Park in Worcester.
Yeah.
We actually went to the Mansfield Reformatory with our children, which sounds kind of creepy, but it was, you know,
We're
what,
locking them all in
yeah,
cells.
that was actually a great event because it was a personalized tour and it was just us and our kids, and it was a lot of fun. The soccer game, like I said, we went to the soccer game.
Now, do these different events, do they help you guys out at all? They're like, hey, we'd love to have you guys come, and they do anything extra for you, or do you guys just attend them as regular, like just regular citizen wants to go that day, especially like Ramsire and things like that? Because I'd imagine people always want to do, and business are always looking for charity write-offs and things like that. I imagine that a lot of them would be open to, supporting this thing that you guys are running for. It looks good on them as well.
Yeah. We've had support from different organizations as far as that goes. One of the things that we did is we toured Progressive Field as a group with our kids.
That's cool.
And
They get to run the bases.
no, they didn't. Apparently, during the baseball season, the field itself is like sacred. So we were able to go go into the visitors' dugout.
Mm-hmm.
And then go kind of, I don't know what, it's not the warning track, but the dirt before you get to the grass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But there, and that's one of the things I asked. I said, hey, you think you can let our kids kind of run around the bases and stuff? And
Well, we
the
got a
woman,
game on.
the woman I was working with there, she said, no, absolutely not. So we love that. But unfortunately that won't fly because the field, the grass, it is sacred.
Fair enough. For those listening, maybe they have a community or somebody local in the community that does offer some kind of event, whether it be laser tag or escape rooms or all these different events that are out there. How do people get a hold of you if they either want to reach out and offer you and all the kids and fathers to come do something, and how do fathers get a hold of you guys if they want to ask more questions, be part of the group?
Well, I do a lot on our Facebook page,
Okay.
which is Pathways for Pops. I post all of our activities on there by email, which is matt@desanio.org.
Okay. And I'll have you send all that to me as
Yeah,
well.
I definitely
I'll
will.
put it in the description for anybody to listen. If you're in Ohio and you want to take part of this, is this a national program in the sense that Pathways for Pops or even the Down syndrome for dads? Are these events that happen other states as well?
For Pathways for Pops, just Ohio
Okay.
up to this point.
Different states have different, like the Down Syndrome Association. There are different, like there's one of Columbus, a Down Syndrome Association of Columbus and Cincinnati. They're all like their own separate things.
Right, their own entities.
But if you live in Columbus, Cincinnati, if you have in a different area, you can probably just Google like Down Syndrome Association, and it'll come up of different areas and things like that. So
Yeah, there are actually 5 Down syndrome associations in Ohio.
Oh wow.
Yeah, us being the Down Syndrome Association of Northeast Ohio, but they have one out in the Toledo area, one out in one in Columbus, of course, one in Cincinnati, and then there's the Down Syndrome Association of the Valley, which is out like Mahoning County in that area, like Youngstown area.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm looking at here now. I see the Crunch game that you guys went to, and it looks like everybody's having a good time.
Oh yeah, yep.
A lot of beers in those hands. But I mean, that's great that you guys get to experience this. It's great that you guys are there for each other. I mean, what message would you share for anybody listening that is one about to go through this, or two, wants to be part of something like this, what would you say to them? About your group?
I would say just come out and hang out with us. It's it's all about supporting one another. And like I said earlier, it's kind of a lonely place when you find out that you have a child with a disability, and I can't tell you how important it is to just kind of reach out to others that are further along in this journey. There's so many people that I've met that have children that are older than myself. In fact, one of the dads, he brings his son out with him. His name is Todd. He's 42 years old. They actually, one of the places we like to go is Medina. Brandon, what's this?
The Foundry.
The Foundry in Medina.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and Todd
go-kart racing up there.
Todd races go-karts with us.
That's
and,
awesome.
I mean, he'll come out and he'll have a beer, and it's I mean, come out, check us out. If you don't enjoy it, you don't have to come back.
Yeah, no hard
Right.
feelings, right?
Yeah, but or even if you don't want to come out for the dad's nights, I mean, we are there to support each other. You don't have to be sitting across the table to get support from us. One of the things that I've noticed is a lot of these guys that have attended our events, they have become friends outside of our events.
Right. Yeah,
So
I
they're
can
kind
imagine.
of they're kind of reaching out on their own to other guys, saying, "Hey,
Because we are so spread out. Like we got like a Cleveland side and like Canton side, and some of them smaller areas they can just hang out together and stuff like that. Because
Well,
we are spread out a little ways. But
I
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
too is like if a couple of guys are close to each other and they both have a son or a daughter with Down syndrome, and they live 5 miles apart, like, hey, let's barbecue this weekend, and then your kids are able to kind of play and communicate, talk and stuff like that, and it's just probably a good environment for everybody to be in and go through, and everybody understands each other, what they're going through, so it makes these conversations most likely a little easier, I'd assume.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you mentioned obviously you guys are open to anybody with any disability as a child, so do those parents find it just as I guess relieving or just as supportive for them? How do you guys work with that as far as their disabilities? Like, are you guys helping like do research and things like that with them, or get them in touch with the right people, or do you guys do that as part of this group as well?
No, I would say more so just to offer. I mean, just basically offering support.
Gotcha.
As far as some of the guys that have children with different type of disabilities. I mean, obviously, I have a child with Down syndrome. My child being 9 years old, I've had a lot of different experiences. 9 years worth.
Sure.
So we do have guys that have children that have other various disabilities that require different kind of care. So yes, we do have guys that will kind of help one another in that aspect.
That's cool.
But the main thing there is just to let them know that, hey, we're kind of all in this together. Yeah, and support them that way. I mean, support them morally if that's what they need.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, there are so many different associations out there and that kind of thing. So, and also on our Pathways for Pops page, if you look at that page, there's a lot of people that are sharing different type of events and activities and that kind of things for children and adults with any type of special needs.
Yeah, I mean, the more that you guys can get out there and help others, like, that just makes the program that much better
right
for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But so any goals or any kind of vision of what you hope in the future? Do you guys kind of have a like what's next for the group? Is there anything in the plans, or is it just going to kind of continue to be these events that you guys are setting up, or is there more to what you guys are trying to hopefully accomplish?
At this point, we're just trying to continue to build upon what we were able to start to get to with this point. Over the past year, since we've had this grant, we're trying to build upon what we have started.
Mm-hmm.
And just we're still going to have our monthly nights out on the third Wednesday of the month. In fact, the next one is July 16th at the Barley House in downtown Akron.
Oh man.
Which we usually get a good crowd. The last time we were there, we had 21 guys. And then I haven't set a date yet, but I am planning a fall picnic. So at this point, that's what we have planned. We're still going to get together once a month. And then we'll just see what the future has to hold for us.
Yeah. How do you, who picks the events? Is that your job?
Yeah, I'll usually set up where we go, but I'll get input from
right. What do you guys want to do? What's yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it seems like over the last few years when it was a Down syndrome dads group, we kind of had like a handful of different places that we would hit.
Mm-hmm.
But over the last year, our group has really increased significantly.
Now, do you guys live in Medina?
I live in Medina County. I live just outside of Lodi.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what about you, Brandon?
In Wadsworth, just on the outside of Wadsworth.
So you guys are both local to this particular area.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think it was like a 15-minute drive to get over here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Is there other stuff that you guys would like to share that I'm not asking? I mean, if there's other things that you want to get out there or information that you want our listeners to hear, please don't hesitate to share.
I mean, it can be intimidating to go out with like I'm kind of sometimes introverted, like going out with new people.
Sure.
So it's kind of intimidating to go out with like some random people that you don't know, but just go. Like if you go one time, you don't like it, you don't have to come back. Like there's no harm, no foul. But just, it is nice to meet different dads and just get that once a month, just get away, just hang out. And
yeah, and I imagine too, I mean, you guys are do you guys do like events at these things, or like when you're at a restaurant where you guys, I don't know, make everybody kind of introduce themselves or anything like that, or a new member introduce themselves? Do you guys do anything like that, or does everybody kind of just show up and
it's
just let it happen?
There's like we get name tags and stuff like that. You can see like names and things like that. But
cool.
Yeah, it's real casual. Yeah. It is definitely real casual. And one of the things that I tell the guys, hey, you know, if you're a little uncertain or you know you don't want to go out with a bunch of people that you don't know, you bring a friend. Bring a friend. Bring your dad. Bring your father-in-law. Bring your brother. Whatever. Just come. Just come on out.
Heck yeah,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys both for coming out. This will be a short one this night, but I mean, I think that if there's anybody out there and you've got, you know, son or daughter that's going through Down syndrome, or really, like you said, any
type of disability
at all, you know, connect with these guys. Have somebody that you could lean on, somebody that you could ask questions, somebody that you know, could be there for you when you're just having a bad day. Because like you said, you guys forge bonds and friendships that are outside of just the events that you have. So it's a Saturday morning, you had a bad day and you need somebody to day drink with. I'm sure there's somebody in the group that's always open to that. But I appreciate you guys coming on. The link to your guys' Facebook page will be in the description. I'll make sure that your email address is in there as well. If you're somebody within the community that has a connection to somebody that you think could be a big help to them, whether it's offering a space for an event, or you know, even putting something together, or even getting speakers or anything to come and talk to them, and please don't hesitate to reach out to us here at the Guys Night Podcast, or to Matt directly, and get connected. Appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks so much again.
Thanks for having us, Will.